I'm Carolyn Ryan, and I am joined today by Jim Cole. He is retired law enforcement, and he's currently working on one of the most important issues of our time, and that is child sex trafficking. And I'm so honored, Jim, to have you here and to be able to talk to you about this fight. It's massive. It feels overwhelming.
It does.
And it feels like it's more people are aware of it than ever before, even though it's been going on forever.
Yes.
Tell me about how you are fighting this massive issue.
So at Operation Lightshine,
That's your nonprofit?
Yes, that's our nonprofit organization. So we are basically seeking private funding to support law enforcement agencies so they can dedicate resources to protect our children against child exploitation and child sex trafficking.
So what you're saying is right now they don't have those resources.
Yeah, they don't have enough. Kind of look at like the federal government budget. The 2023 counter drug budget was $40 billion, that's with a B, and the approximate budget for child exploitation and trafficking is about 200 million with an M. And that's a massive order of disparity that we're just not getting the resources out there to our law enforcement agencies, who are the only ones that have the authority to arrest offenders, to execute search warrants, to get the information that they need to investigate the cases. So it's not even something like civilians can take on themselves. We need our law enforcement partners to do those things. But we're not giving them the financial and resource support that they need to do that work.
So instead of waiting for Congress to get off their behinds, you all are saying, we got to step up and fill in this gap until we can help get Congress to get their act together.
That's right. That's exactly what we do. So we do that through our Intercept task forces, and that's interagency child exploitation and persons trafficking task forces. And we currently have task forces in 5 cities, regions, I should say, and currently in Middle Tennessee, Southwest Florida, Northeast Florida, Middle Virginia, Center Virginia, and North Maryland.
So those 5 didn't have a dedicated detective or unit to be able to investigate these crimes, or enough?
Yes, some agencies did. So your larger agencies will usually have 1, maybe 2.
Okay.
But it's the smaller agencies that just really can't afford to dedicate resources to the fight.
So you're pouring that money in, you're helping them get the resources they need to begin to investigate these crimes. How widespread is this? How big of a problem is this?
It's a massive problem. So just to kind of give you some, and these are vetted statistics. So the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is also a 501c3 nonprofit. It is the national clearinghouse for online crimes against children. So child sexual abuse material, or what like most people would refer to as child pornography. We do not like to use that term because it's pretty demeaning to the victims of that crime and the survivors of that crime. And it doesn't really give the gravity that that crime deserves. So, but they track the statistics. So all of the digital service providers, all of your online internet companies are required by federal law to report instances of child exploitation that they find on their platforms to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children through their cyber tip line. So there's really good statistics coming in that are hard statistics. And then law enforcement, when we seize that data from offenders who are doing cases, we then send that data into NCMEC, all the images, all the videos of exploitation, and it goes into a centralized repository. So those statistics have been gathered since 1998, and then the material itself has been gathered since 2002. And what's really kind of interesting is, and I'm going to flip, like there's people's perception versus reality. I'm about to flip that a little bit for folks.
Yeah.
So most people will think that like trafficking is the overarching and biggest scale issue, and it's not. And the reality is it's child exploitation by almost over 1,000%. So incidents of child sex trafficking that have been reported to NCMEC hover, and it's a constantly changing number, right? So it's constantly changing. But last time I checked, we're about 157,000 incidents since 1998, right? Massive number. If one child is trafficked, that's a tragedy, it's horrific. But then if we look at incidents of child exploitation, which is the child sexual abuse material, it's the online grooming of children to get sexual material, sexual conduct, that, which is not a monetary-based crime at all, that is over 170 million, right? And so over 1,000 times more prevalent. Yet in society, all we talk about is trafficking. And again, it's important that we talk about it, but people don't want to talk about child exploitation because unfortunately, it's happening in people's homes. I mean, the number one offender to victim relationship is a father to daughter. And that's a hard thing to talk about.
It is.
But we have to talk about it, right? We have to talk about, because if you think about it, offenders who are, looking to offend against a child, because something's broken in them, are going to offend against kids they have access to, right? They're going to offend, and so that's why you see so many stories in the media about coaches, pastors, but it's uncles, it's brothers, it's babysitters, it's, and so it is folks that have access to the child, and usually the child knows that person not only as an offender, but as some other intimate relationship with either a familial setting or a sports setting, a school setting,
Sure.
etc. And so, where we have parents who are worrying about their kids being abducted, that's not the real threat. And I'm not saying the kids don't get abducted, because we all know that they do, but that's like a teeny fraction of the amount of sexual exploitation and trafficking that's actually happening. And it's happening, a lot of the trafficking that's happening, which is a monetary-based crime, is Romeo trafficking. We have these offenders who are trolling for kids who are lonely, who are online.
Broken families.
And it can happen to anybody. I mean, honestly, we see every demographic you can imagine. I mean, we see families who are like the picture-perfect family that most people say, but I would never think that would happen to that family. Sure. And it's just because in today's day and age, our kids have this portal to the open world that's at their fingertips that they're going into their bedrooms at night with. And I say to parents, I'm like, man, would you allow, think about way back in the days where we just had phones. We had the hardline phone, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have, if a guy called your phone at 10 o'clock at night, yeah, and you answered it as a father or a mother and said, hey, can I talk to Sally, who's 11?
Yeah.
You would say, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
Why are you calling my house at this time? Like, what? And they said, oh yeah, I just want to come over and spend the night with your daughter. You would, the reaction to that, well, that's what's actually happening.
They're giving their kid a phone and saying, hey, go jump on TikTok.
And now you're not in the middle to see it. You're not answering the phone with the offender, your child is. And so, I mean, it's so dangerous. It's so, and the scale of this problem is massive. I mean, it is massive.
How long has your nonprofit been in existence?
So we got started in 2020. So we're a very new nonprofit. But
and how are your funds? How are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, the only way for us to support our law enforcement partners is with funding. So, but we have been really blessed. We have partnered with the Tim Tebow Foundation, which has been just a staunch supporter, and other organizations and private donors who look at our mission, look at what we're doing. We're extremely transparent with our funding. We believe wholeheartedly, like, if I'm going to fund something from my perspective, I want to know that that money is going to the mission and not lining someone's pocket. So we're a very lean organization. We're very small, like employee-wise. Our salaries are very small compared to a lot of nonprofits. And so because we believe wholeheartedly that money needs to be going to the mission. And so financially, it costs, like, full bore to support one task force runs about $1.5 million a year. We can get one started at about $100,000. So our biggest issue right now, actually in the funding realm, is like we've got the funding to support the task forces we're supporting now, the 5. We're got a couple kind of in the works, but we have a list of interest from folks like, please come set up a task force here, and we're like, we gotta try and get the funding to do that.
In the meantime, let's raise awareness to this to our Congress members.
Yes.
Where are you? We spend billions of dollars on trillions of dollars all
Yes.
over on all these
Yes.
causes and all the pork and the crap that gets put in these bills.
Yeah,
and meanwhile, this is an issue that these departments aren't getting funded.
That's right.
It's
Look how much
insane.
money we send overseas,
Ugh.
and we're not spending that money. You know, why aren't we putting at least some of that money to protecting our children at home?
It's insane. So hold your Congress people accountable. Ask them about that.
Absolutely.
Let's start introducing
I mean,
some bills and to get that
That's
in,
right.
in the
The public
works.
wants to know what they can do.
Yeah.
That's exactly one way to do that, is contact your legislators,
Yes.
contact your state leadership, contact those folks and ask them to work crimes against children, because nobody does that, right? People call up police chiefs and sheriffs about traffic in their neighborhood. They
Right.
don't call up and say, hey, why aren't you protecting more children? But they need to.
Jim, thank you for the work that you're doing. God bless you guys. And how can people help you? Where do they
Yeah,
go?
so look, www.operationlightshine.org. That's our website. We have a donate button there. You can see where the money is going. We're a 90-10 organization, so 90% of our funding is going to the mission, 10% just to keep the lights on.
Yeah. Lightshine.org.
OperationLightshine.org.
Lightshine. We'll get that on the screen too. Thank you so much.
So thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
Thank you.